The mannequin became erratic, dragging its plastic legs, shambling over to him. Repulsion rose in him, but as it got near him, he stood up, leaning over it, trying to see if he could intimidate it. It stopped and froze. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today we bring you SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object SCP-847. SCP-847 is a broken human female mannequin, constructed of human hair and an unknown composite fibrous polymer that abrades and shatters similarly to porcelain. Exploratory laparoscopy of 847 shows the presence of internal structures that closely resemble an incomplete set of bones, organs, and major blood vessels, each of which are composed of the same polymer. Small trace amounts of a black, volatile resin similar to plastination compounds leak from the eyes and damaged regions of the mannequin. 847 favors clothing designed for young women, leaving ample skin exposed. The mannequin moves with erratic, stiff motions while shuddering to maintain balance. It has three different behavioral patterns, known as Pattern Z, Pattern Y, and Pattern X. Pattern Z occurs when there is no human within 50 meters. 847 remains inanimate and silent 99.5% of the time under these conditions. It will stand in front of any available full-length mirror and make a pose that showcases its outfit. On rare occasions, 847 will scratch short messages on nearby surfaces with a finger. Examples of messages written include, "Don't leave me," "You can own me," "I can change," and "You're my master." Pattern Y is adopted when there are only males around. Initial stage behaviors involve emitting vocalizations resembling high-pitched whimpering and gasps, in addition to more provocative poses. After 3 to 5 minutes of the initial stage, 847's behavior enters a secondary stage, during which it becomes fully animate, approaching any male subject, attempting to look into the subject's eyes. Vocalizations during this period become more frequent and longer in duration. Subjects can handle and freely alter or pose 847 during this time. 847 will then shatter select portions of its body and/or extract internal structures when the subject leaves. Once the shattering or extraction is complete, it emits sobbing vocalizations and reverts back to Pattern Z. Pattern X occurs when any female subject approaches within 50 meters, whether male subjects are present or not. It will emit vocalizations resembling distressed grunts and screeches before becoming immediately animate and physically attacking any woman nearby. During Pattern X, 847's strength and speed are greatly increased, with sprints of up to 45 kilometers per hour and exertion of 40 kilonewtons of force having been measured. During an attack, 847 will occasionally shatter an appendage, usually a finger or toe, in order to produce a sharp edge. Furthermore, plastination resin is released from its eyes, mouth, and shattered sections of its body. Resin falling in open wounds results in a quick hardening of soft tissues that spread until the victim's body reaches a composition of a similar polymer as 847. Following plastination, it will harvest selected body parts from the victim corresponding to damaged sections of its own body. It will fuse these parts to its body via the resin. Not all damaged sections will be repaired in this way. Upon completion of harvesting, it will return to Pattern Y if there is a male subject around, or it will return to Pattern Z when it is alone. The resin produced by 847 has been shown to have its anomalous plastination effects occur only when applied to soft tissues of women. The resin has no effect on cadaverous, non-human, or male tissue. Application of high-voltage electricity in excess of 10 kilovolts will cause a temporary solidification of the resin, resulting in 847 becoming inanimate for approximately 5 minutes, regardless of the behavior pattern expressed at the time. SCP-847 was first discovered during a federal human trafficking investigation. It was found in the basement of an abandoned department store in Las Vegas on 8/23/1983, surrounded by partially disassembled and broken non-anomalous female mannequins wrapped in plastic sheets. FBI agents on the scene witnessed 847 exhibit pattern Y upon their discovery of the subject. Initially, agents believed that it was a trafficking victim, so they moved in to intervene and assist. 847 then switched to pattern X and attacked one of the female agents. The agent subdued 847 with her stun gun and was evacuated from the basement. However, despite signs of human habitation, the trafficking victims were never found. On September 23, 2013, researcher Tyler Jensen and Dr. Tyrone Hardy decided to put subject D7294 into SCP-847's containment as part of an observational test. D7294 was told to sit directly in front of the mannequin, converse, and lightly interact with it. He was warned to not damage 847 for the duration of the test, which was not to be longer than 20 minutes. The lights flashed on when D7294 entered the testing area. The mannequin, it looked decrepit, worn down, horrendous. It had hair on it, clothes, all its body parts, but even just sitting in the chair on the other side of the room, he could tell how pitiful it looked. He had not felt this disgusted looking at something resembling a woman in a long time. 20 minutes to interact with an ugly mannequin like this would feel like an eternity. It shuddered. D7294 looked taken aback, raising an eyebrow in surprise. It was not the most shocking or grotesque display he saw since being a D-class, but it was repulsive in its own right. As he watched, it made small, sudden adjustments to its position. It looked like a puppet, being pulled on its strings. He could only watch in fascination as it kept moving like a puppet, as if it was inviting him, wanting him to play. 10 minutes passed like this, and then intercom buzzed. D7294, if you refuse to participate in testing, I'm watching. Carry on then. It was then that the mannequin stood up, gasping and leaning in his direction, and he felt his heart soar the way the mannequin headed over to where D7294 was sitting. The mannequin became erratic, dragging its plastic legs, shambling over to him. Repulsion rose in him, but as it got near him, he stood up, leaning over it, trying to see if he could intimidate it. It stopped and froze. "You're adorable, aren't you?" he muttered, grabbing its arm and moving it around. It made more noises while D7294 played with it. He let go and walked around behind it, grabbing various body parts to move around and pose. He ran a hand across its eyes, shuddering at how real they felt. Real eyes, porcelain skin. Your hands feel cheaper than everywhere else. You couldn't ever attract a male like this, could you, you dumb animal? It continued making sounds, this time sounding vaguely fearful. D7294 let go and walked back to its front, feeling its hands and fingers. "Make some actual sounds this time. Talk to me." He broke off a finger. Nothing had changed. Useless. He could immediately faintly hear the sounds of guards rushing towards the testing chamber as he let go and backed away. The mannequin erratically jerking towards his position. The intercom buzzed. D7294, you were instructed not to damage the item. Testing is over. The guards opened the door and started to forcefully drag him out. He didn't resist, continuing to stare at the mannequin until the doors closed. He sighed, feeling slight disappointment mixed with a rush of thrill. 50 meters away from the area, heading towards an interview room, he could hear screaming and the sound of something breaking. He grinned and felt warmth in his head. 7294 laid in his bed that night, absent-mindedly thinking of the encounter earlier with the mannequin. It was the first real sense of enjoyment he had gotten in months. Although from how the researchers had talked to him, he had a distinct feeling he wouldn't be returning to see it again. It was fun playing with it while he could, at least. The memory of his fun was burned into his mind to enjoy for nights forwards. He rolled, looking up at the ceiling, sighing. He stuck out his thumb and index finger to resemble a tweezer, and started plucking at nothing, humming about Mary's little lamb, her fleece as white as snow. SCP-053 sat in the middle of a spacious cell, playing with her toys all by her lonesome. The mannequin, SCP-847, eyed the little girl with contempt and jealousy. It walked to the nearest D-Class and whispered into his ears.
Kill her.
The D-Class shuddered, then nodded.
Yes, my queen.
He shambled towards the unsuspecting girl, who was pouring a cup of tea to serve her doll companions. Then, he dropped to the floor and died after a short bout of agonizing spasms.
Useless men.
Suddenly, the ground began to quake. A monstrous roar echoed faintly outside the cell. 053 stopped playing then. She looked up as if sensing a familiar presence.
Lizzie!
The girl's face lit up with excitement. A spark of joy danced in her eyes. The mannequin, however, felt the opposite.
What is this ominous feeling?
As its gaze shifted back to the girl, her disdain for the little girl returned. A crooked smile insidiously etched on its face. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. Behind an array of monitors stood two figures, watching as everything unfolded in the test cell.
All right, what's on the menu today?
Let's see. It's SCP-847 for today.
The mannequin? What is the Foundation thinking?
They want to test if 053's effect extends to non-living beings.
Them and their weird ideas. Let's get this over with.
The pair was stationed far away from 053's influence, a luxury not afforded to the D-Class subjects.
All right, commencing. Send in SCP-847 and the D-Class.
Two D-Class subjects, one male and female, carefully wheeled in a locked steel box. The researcher's order screeched from the PA.
Now, open it up, carefully.
Shakily, a D-Class opened the box. His face transformed from fear into adoration upon seeing the content within. SCP-847 The Mannequin. Slowly, the mannequin opened its eyes. Its limbs jerked erratically as it came alive. The researchers noticed the sudden shift in the male D-Class's demeanor towards the mannequin as it stepped out of the box.
Ugh, men. So what makes this doll different than the normal ones?
Well, for starters, it moves.
The mannequin walked towards the male D-Class.
Second, it appears to like men.
His face reddened as the mannequin touched his cheek. An artificial yet affectionate smile tore from cheek to cheek on the mannequin's face.
Like a lot.
The D-Class reached for its waist as the mannequin assumed a provocative pose.
And I'm guessing it feels opposite towards females.
Then, the mannequin halted its movement. Its head jerked to gaze at a female D-Class standing near the box.
Yup.
The mannequin juddered towards the female D-Class. It brought its face close to hers, scrutinizing the fearful subject before it. Then suddenly,
Very strongly so.
the mannequin let out a deafening screech, then proceeded to tear at the female D-Class's face. The mannequin's left arm shattered, forming a jagged edge as a result of its violent attacks. The researchers winced as they watched it unfolded.
Yikes! There goes her pretty face.
And it'll take off her arm, too. Look.
The mannequin then forcefully yanked out an arm from its victim. Black resin oozed from its eyes, mouths, and its shattered arm.
Damn thing knows how to fix itself using the black resin like some sort of glue, too. It's pretty handy.
After the mannequin fixed its arm, it turned its attention back towards the cowering male D-Class. A wicked smile on its face as it showed off its new arm.
I can be whatever you want.
Then it stopped again, having sensed yet another presence. Surely enough, it spotted 053 playing with her dolls, unbothered. The mannequin grimaced at the sight of yet another female presence, prompting it to stomp purposefully toward 053 as if she were an obstacle to be eliminated. What the researchers couldn't see was the terrifying vision before the mannequin. The girl now bore a sinister smile, taunting it, beckoning it to harm her. The mannequin then heard her own voice whispered by its ear.
There can only be one of you.
Standing insidiously behind the innocent girl, the mannequin's inner voice grew even more manic.
What are you waiting for? Do it.
Just as it raised its arm, it managed to snap itself out of the spell. The demonic visage of the girl disappeared, and the innocent girl returned.
Now, what will you do next?
A question the mannequin was wrestling with itself. It stepped coquettishly towards the cowering D-Class, and then whispered in his ears.
Kill her.
Yes, my queen.
The D-Class dropped dead before he could do its bidding, an act seen as betrayal and abandonment by the mannequin. Then, the mannequin's envy turned into fear as the ground shook. A faint roar in the distance.
Crap. Is that?
I thought you said it was locked up and sedated. We gotta speed things up now.
He then pushed a button, and more D-Class subjects entered the test cell. Instantly, they were all charmed by the mannequin's seduction and became its pawns. Under its order, they rushed to harm 053. Some died of heart attack, some became enraged and turned on the mannequin.
How bothersome.
Like knights in shining armor, the D-Class subjects rushed forward and defended the mannequin against those driven to rage by 053's anomaly. As the researchers watched the nail-biting action unfold, the tremor returned and was getting closer. SCP-682 burst through the walls and devoured the researchers. As if connected by telepathy, 682 smashed through walls and found its way to 053.
Lizzie!
The surviving D-Class screamed and scrambled around, which irked the immortal reptile greatly. It roared and devoured every D-Class before it. It was over within minutes. Then, 682 noticed the mannequin. Despite the mannequin's apparent elegance and calmness, the reality beneath its exterior was far from serene. Its black resin dripped down its face like sweat drops.
Something about this doll. I can't just seem to put my claws on one of her new toys.
The lizard slowly widened its jaw, and the mannequin could do nothing but to accept its fate.
Lizzie, do you want to go out and play?
The lizard stopped and turned away from the mannequin. 682 stomped away along with the little girl, leaving the mannequin alone in the destroyed cell. The mannequin's relief turned to melancholy as its resin began to stream down like tears.
What's wrong with me? Please, don't leave me. Sorry I'm worthless.
She woke up in a dark place. It smelled of rot and urine. Before she could ascertain her location, the half-wolf, half-human pressed up right in front of her, examining intently with one side of its face. A horrible sight with uncanny human features laid across a canvas of flesh. She remembered, it all happened so fast. The creature appeared out of nowhere and killed her partner. His neck was destroyed in a single bite, his torso torn apart. But somehow she was spared. But not for long, as it grabbed her face, dug its claws into her flesh, and peeled off the skin. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a SCP Foundation Euclid Class Object, SCP-3165. SCP-3165, also known as Dog Teeth, is a humanoid female between the ages of 14 and 18, with severe malformation in its limbs and face. It lacks body hair, and its skin is devoid of pigmentation. The right half of 3165's face is obstructed by its upper and lower mandibles, which resemble that of a wolf. Its upper mandible lacks a nose, instead giving way to a soft crater where the nasal cavity has fleshed over. The bones of its feet are extended, and its hands are twice the length of an average adult human's, with sharp fingernails that are also 3 times more durable. Since the time of its discovery, 3165's left cornea is milky white, suggesting late-stage cataracts. 3165 is incapable of producing human vocalizations. Therefore, it communicates through fractured sign language and certain beast-like guttural vocalizations. 3165 was discovered by a group of amateur paranormal investigator group in an undisclosed location in Ukraine. Local authorities were contacted but unable to contain it, prompting the Foundation to send out a recovery team. The team arrived at the ruins. A faint smell of rotting bodies and feces permeated the air. It gets more pungent as they navigated deeper into the heart of the complex. Throughout the exploration, they came across various items littered on the ground: torn clothes, dried bones, unrecognizable biological masses, and broken recording devices which can't be salvaged. The team arrived at a dead end. There, they found several objects, most notably a locket, which contained an image of a young blonde woman, which was later identified as a missing person along with her partner after a visit to Ukraine. Both individuals were then presumed to have been killed by 3165. They have also found a face that has been separated and peeled away from the head. Rough cuts were observed around the eye sockets and mouth, suggesting the use of the skin as a mask. Soon enough, they started to hear a growl. 3165 was stalking them from the shadows and had them cornered where it wanted them to be. Suddenly, 3165 pounced on the leader. Its claw ripped through his throat with ease. He was killed instantly. Panicked, the rest of the team immediately turned on their flashlights. 3165 was blinded for a moment and then pounced on its next target immediately. In the face of the onslaught, one of them fled the scene, leaving her alone. Her knees lost all strength. She fell to the ground as 3165 moved in closer to her. It examined her closely. Its claws reached for her face and started to feel around her cheeks and hair. She could feel something sharp was digging into her skin. She tried to scream, but nothing came out of her. Suddenly, the wounded teammate jumped on 3165 and jabbed a syringe full of ketamine onto its neck. Despite being heavily injured, he wouldn't let go as 3165 flailed around and clawed at him in an awkward position. Soon enough, the drug kicked in, and 3165 was immobilized. His valiant effort paid off, but unfortunately, he died soon after due to severe blood loss. A backup team arrived, and 3165 was transported into containment before the drug wore off. According to the assessment of a child psychologist, 3165 possesses the mental capacity and behaviors of a human child of roughly 6 to 7 years old, and is able to understand at least 200 words of the English language. 3165 appears to prefer direct communications with females. Interactions with male personnel were met with hostility, as shown in one incident when researcher Dr. Donald attempted to interview it. Before entering the containment cell, he stopped his security details to wait outside. "But sir, the subject is highly volatile. It injured and killed some of my men." The researcher merely let out a hearty laugh and waved in dismissal. "That was because you lot went in with guns. We need to do this with love." The security head tried to interject, but the researcher turned towards the door before he could. "Watch and learn, gentlemen. Watch and learn." The security head sighed and ordered his team to set up beside the door and be ready to rush in when things go south. Dr. Donald strode in and closed the door with a loud bang, startling 3165 from its slumber. He greeted it with a smile and then briskly sat in front of it. But his friendly gesture was not reciprocated. Instead, 3165 let out an intense growl and pounced on him. It clawed at his torso, breaking his ribcage, and bit off huge chunks of flesh in his right arm. Donald screamed as he clawed away from it, but 3165 wouldn't let him go. The security head called his team into action with immediate efficiency. "Oh, for Christ's sake! All right, get in there!" The team went in and shot 3165 with tranquilizer rounds. It let out a yelp and momentarily went limp on top of Dr. Donald. They gently pushed 3165 away from him, and Dr. Donald was carried out of the cell. By then, he had lost all consciousness. His right arm was tore to the bone, dangling from his shoulder. It looked just as lively as Donald's expression, with his dead eyes staring blankly through his broken glasses and white foam forming around his gaping mouth. And so, Dr. Warrens, a female researcher, was assigned to the task. She entered the cell with an accompanying guard, and 3165 turned from its drawing to face Dr. Warrens. She smiled and approached 3165 with caution. It growled at her lightly and nodded its head at her feet, indicating her to sit down. She sat. When Dr. Warrens asked how 3165 was feeling, it made the sign for pretty, then girl, and then pointed towards her. Dr. Warrens thanked 3165 and it squealed in glee. It then signed hair and want towards Dr. Warrens. It stroked the side of its head as if playing with its hair. Before Dr. Warrens could assure her guard, 3165 suddenly jumped and scuttled up to her. Despite being shocked, Dr. Warrens stopped the guard from drawing his gun. 3165 played around her hair, and Dr. Warrens could feel that its claw was tugging at them lightly. Dr. Warrens then asked, "Why does it hurt people?" But it simply ignored her and continued to brush her hair. Dr. Warrens slowly pulled herself away before it reaches another hand. At this point, its growl began to sound increasingly hostile.
It signed at her hair, want, pretty, girl.
Suddenly, it reached forward and braced Dr. Warren's face in its elongated hands. It drags its hands across her face as if measuring it and to carve it out. Its claws dug into her face and began to tear the skin. Dr. Warrens screamed and pushed 3165 away with all her strength. The guard immediately fired his taser at 3165. It let out a series of yelps and dropped to the floor. Its body throbbed and pulsed from the shock. Dr. Warrens was escorted out of the cell.
When she looked back, 3165, with all its strength concentrated in one of its hands, weakly signed, pretty, girl, want. A tear slowly dripped from its eye.